All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking a really powerful idea, one that comes straight from the LPot community. It's all about completely rewriting the story of what it means to be alone, not as something to be fixed, but as a deep, profound source of strength.
You've heard this a million times, right? Maybe you've even thought it yourself. It's that quick, usually well-meaning judgment call we make when we see someone flying solo. It's just a classic snapshot of how our culture tends to look at solitude.
Yeah, I bet it does. That feeling is kind of baked into our society, creating this quiet pressure that suggests being alone is a problem. But here's the thing. What if that whole assumption is just flat out wrong? And that brings us right to the core of the problem, this huge, widespread misunderstanding about what being by yourself actually is. See, here's the big lie we've been told. Alone equals sad. Alone equals failure. The narrative is if you're not surrounded by people all the time, well then something must be wrong with you. But the LPot community is really pushing back hard on that narrative, and that's what we're digging into today. It's all about challenging that old, tired story and, writing a brand new one.
In this quote, man, this gets right to the heart of it. This is our anchor point for this whole conversation. The idea that choosing to be with yourself isn't a sign of defeat. It's actually a sign that you're connecting with your deepest self.
So, okay, how is solitude a strength? I mean, what does that actually mean? Well, the LPot community breaks it down beautifully into 4 key pillars, and we're about to walk through them right now. And here they are: courage, resilience, self-reliance, and growth. And look, these aren't just random words on a screen. They're a sequence. Each one actually builds on the one before it, creating this incredibly solid foundation. Let's start with the first one. First step, courage. Think about it. It is so easy to just fill every quiet second with noise. Podcasts, music, other people. The truly brave thing to do is to just be still, to actually listen to what's going on in your own head without that constant buffer. And that courage to just sit with yourself, that's what builds our second pillar, resilience. When you learn how to be your own comfort, how to navigate the tough moments on your own, you become so much more emotionally unshakable. Solitude is like your personal training ground for the soul, which leads us perfectly to self-reliance. Now, this is not about never needing anyone, not at all. It's about knowing, deep down, that you can meet your own needs, that you are your own source of clarity and comfort. And that, my friends, isn't weakness. That is pure freedom. And finally, growth. I mean, when do your biggest aha moments happen? Real, deep, personal growth. It almost never happens in a loud, crowded room. It happens in those quiet moments of reflection, when you finally have the space to be 100% yourself. Okay, we've got to pause here for a second, because this next part is absolutely crucial. The strength we're celebrating here is found in solitude, and that is a world away from the pain of isolation. The difference really boils down to one simple word: choice. Solitude is when you choose to be with yourself. It feels empowering, restorative. Isolation, on the other hand, is different. It's painful. It's a feeling of disconnection. And if being alone feels heavy and sad, that's your sign that you might be feeling isolated. Reaching out for help isn't failure. It's an incredibly brave and powerful act. Normalizing that need for connection is just as important as celebrating solitude. So, what does this all look like in the real world, in our day-to-day lives? Well, this kind of strength isn't always loud or flashy. In fact, most of the time, it's really, really quiet. It's the quiet confidence of sitting alone in a cafe and just owning it. It's choosing to go for a walk just to hang out with your own thoughts. It's the wisdom to not constantly chase attention or validation from others. And ultimately, all of these things point to one big thing: turning inward and actually liking the company you find there. And that is the message the LPot community really wants to leave you with. Let this sink in. If you find peace and power in your own company, you are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are building something incredible within yourself. So I'll leave you with this to think about. In a world that's always screaming for more noise, more connection, more everything, where can you carve out a little bit of that quiet? Where can you find that unique strength that comes only from you?